But tell me, we are in a radical bookshop, but I don't see any reference to the Holy Islam.
There's a couple of references to Islam. There's a book called Islam and Anarchism, which is about the intersections of Islam and anarchism by Mohammed Abdu. Pretty good book, actually.
But it's more to do about anarchism.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, we're primarily an anarchist bookshop, and we have some Marxist stuff too, some communist things, but broadly anarchist. But there's lots of art and music too.
So how is the anarchist movement, how to say, in Cornwall?
In Cornwall, how is it? It's pretty small, but it's grown a lot in the last 3 to 4 years. There's a lot more like younger anarchists and a lot more organising happening in Cornwall than there has been for quite a while.
Despite COVID?
To be honest, I think a lot of it happens because of people being at home, witnessing many things, and having like a lot of time to like ponder a lot of things that were not great.
Dwell on books?
Yeah, dwell on books, look at things on the internet and be like, oh, things are not working for me. And then after that is when we really saw it begin to happen. We had the G7 summit come to Cornwall, and I think that made a lot happen.
Oh yeah. So how are these people? What is their take on the jab?
On that one, I mean that's extremely broad.
It's a personal question.
Yeah, there are really some people who, in every movement, like every movement, who refuse to get the jab.
But it's nothing specific for anarchists?
Certainly not in the UK, no. I think there's different walks from everybody in like anarchism and the UK, and I don't think
all right.
It wasn't a huge dividing issue.
All right. So what will be the Cornish anarchist issues?
Cornish anarchist issues? Well, again, every anarchist will have completely different issues, but primarily I mean, the immediate things here, like we have very poor paying jobs, we have very expensive houses. We have lots of houses that are tied up in second homeowners and holiday. So we have a lot of people, young people, unable to actually find a secure home.
So the anarchist solution to that would be just free lodging, or?
There is some squats in Cornwall. There's more than there has been historically.
Which towns would that be?
There's some in this town. There's a few in other towns too, and even some rural ones in very small villages that I'm not willing to talk about. But yeah.
because in Britain you have very old rules about which makes it very easy to squat a house.
Well, not so much anymore.
They changed the rules?
They changed the rules, so now the really only hope you get of squatting is commercial buildings. Thank you. Yeah, so squatting commercial buildings in the UK is still possible, whereas squatting houses used to be very easy. But in the last years it's actually been very hard, and the law has been changed under the Conservatives, previous government, and being upheld by this government as well, actually. So.
But you said that pretty much every anarchist will have basically his or her own views on everything. So how do you make a movement out of it?
I mean, that's really hard. Yeah, I mean, that's a very broad statement I made, but I think, for every anarchist there is a different way of interpreting anarchism. But I think by converging, certainly in Cornwall, and I can only speak for where we're at, but converging and finding your common grounds, like the things I just listed, food scarcity, poor paying jobs, housing, all of those things affect every single one of the anarchists that I know in Cornwall, all of the communists that I know in Cornwall.
Yeah, because also the communists would agree on that.
For sure.
But they have a more easy way. They'll just point at the capital.
Sure. I mean, we all have different reasons why we think we got here, I guess, and why we think the situation is and how we think we can get out of it. But I think in Cornwall, there's been a lot of work on how we can all work together to change the immediate conditions, you know, so to campaign against second home ownership, so to, you know, work in tenants' unions, you know, anarchists, Marxists, and just everybody alike to try and work for better housing and cheaper housing.
But how about, let's say the world situation? Do you think it's more crazy these days than ever before, or is it just normal business?
Yeah, I think about that one a lot. And I don't know if I have the answer, but I've spoken to some people who are older than me, and they think in some ways things are worse now, but in some ways things are... So I think I wouldn't like to be able to call that.
How about the internet? Because it's supposed to, I mean, you can get, they say, all the knowledge in the world, but you can't, because it has to be uploaded first and it might be censored. But also it would be a chance to get people together, but instead they sit at home and cheer each other through the internet.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, theoretically, the internet and information should make accessing the kind of things we're talking about, like, you know, anarchism, communism, and it should make them easier, and it should mean that we can all work together easily. But I actually think that you're right, that it's come to a point where, you know, it's important to remember who actually owns the tools of the media and how easy it is for voices that they don't agree with to be drowned out or disappeared and censored. So it's really important for people to remember, like, keep that in mind, you know, and keep reaching out and be mindful. I'm not particularly great with the internet myself, I have to say, so
But for some young people especially, if you can't Google it, it doesn't exist.
I mean, that's often the case. Like, yeah, I do speak to some people, and I'll tell them things, and, you know, they, like you say, because they haven't Googled it, they think that can't possibly be right, and if there's no trace of it on Google, then is it even verifiable? And, you know, you're giving them possibly sometimes first-hand accounts or second-hand accounts of things that have actually happened. But because it's not documented on the internet, or if it is, it's, you know, buried in some blog post, you know, somewhere. To them, it may as well not exist, and, you know.
And if you look for it, you might have a warning, not good for you.
Yeah, well, I mean, 20 years ago or something, when the internet, like, when I first started using the internet anyway, like, there were so many good blogs, you know, on radical politics, organizing, and, you know, like, independent news, and it really did feel quite an exciting time to be able to access those things. But now I think, yeah, the mechanisms of the internet have made it so that they're harder to find, and they're not the first thing you look for, and they, you know, do come often with some kind of warning about them.
Oh, instead, buy this and that.
Oh, for sure, yeah. I mean, exactly that, yeah.
Could you show me your variety of books?
I can, yeah, sure. Like, over here we have, like, feminism, so lots of feminist literature from, you know, some of the classics, but we try and keep it quite modern as well. Here we have, like, LGBTQI, so we have, like, lots of, like, you know, books relating to that.
You know, some in my country, Denmark, they say that all this LGBTE plus that kills the class struggle. It's just diverting attention away from the real trouble.
I don't know if I can agree with that. I think.
But to a certain extent.
Well, I don't think I can agree with that.
It's like privatizing the class struggle.
I do think for some people, focusing on very individualized ideas and notions can kill or can damage things like class struggle, but I wouldn't like to say that that's my experience. It's not my experience of the situation. It's not what I...
Yeah, because that's also, I guess, that's a communist trick, that your problems are not important. It's the whole group, you know.
Well, I mean, that can be a communist trick, but also... I don't think that that's purely a communist
I know.
I think that, you know,
But between lefties, I say.
yeah. I mean, I think community's problem is everybody's problem. For me personally, so.
Do you have any of the old writers, anarchists, like Kropotkin?
Sure, yeah, we have like anarchists over here, and we have like
Oh,
Kropotkin in here. We have stuff about Durruti. We have a lot of modern. We have Murray Bookchin too. Alfred Bonanno. Lots of stuff.
But
here.
this cafe, a bookshop, would it also be a place you would come for classes on politics, or?
No, not really. We're very tiny, so we don't actually have any space to be able to do those. We do work with other people on things, workshops, talks and things that happen in other bigger venues. Yeah.
Burn shell to hell. That was 30 years ago.
It was an old slogan, but it still stands true, you know.
But now you can count in all the other oil companies.
Yeah.
And that's the name of the place?
Yeah, Rubicund Books in Falmouth.
Has it to do with Rubicund, the real Rubicund? No.
It has to do with the colour red. Latin for the colour red, yeah.
But there's something, Rubicund, that's to do with Roman times?
Rubicund, passing the Rubicon, is that what you mean? Yeah, no, it's not related to that. It's related to like Latin for the colour red. Yeah.
How long has this store been in place?
4.5 years now. 4.5 years. So.
And you're having a good time?
I'm having a good time. Yeah, I feel surprised every day to still be here. You know, like it's a very small town with a very small population. Get a lot of support, so that's really good.
A lot of young people in this town.
Yeah, and a lot of older people. You know, we've met a lot of. Cornwall is very dispersed with not too many large populations.
But there's a lot of young people coming for the university.
It's true, yeah. I mean, they do make up a large part, but I think what it's shown me is that there was a lot of like cool radical people around Cornwall. But because it's so spread out, we didn't always know that people were there, and people don't always know that the other ones are there, and give people a reason to come together, and they.
Do you have any international contacts? I mean, through the store and so on?
Yeah, we have some friends with some bookshops, you know, as far away as the USA, across Europe, exchanged some mail with like people in Amsterdam and all kinds of other places. So there is still like the tradition of like international solidarity, and because Cornwall has a movement for autonomy, we also talk a lot with people in the Basque, people in, you know, Breton people in Galicia, Catalan, lots of different people to talk about, you know, the struggle for autonomy. Yeah.
So see you at the front at the final battle someday.
Yeah, hopefully. Thank you.